or I'm used to looking at all the black little boxes. So yeah, we just started the recording. Just a reminder, some of you will not have received your thank you packages yet, but they will be coming in the mail. And as we go through the presentation today, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And we have a couple staff members on the back end managing the chat, and we will have a couple minutes at the end to go through some of those questions. Yeah, without further ado, we will get started. As I said, we have quite a bit to get through in this next half hour, so hopefully we can squish it all in. So welcome to our lunch and learn for the career case. My name is Adele, and I am the careers program manager at Agriculture in the Classroom, Manitoba. We are a team. We have 9 members on our staff, and we have a board of 13. And so we're small but mighty. Our North Star goal at Agriculture in the Classroom, Manitoba is that every student will be agriculturally literate when they leave high school. So basically that means students know where and how their food is grown. Teachers have all of the tools necessary that they need to do that, and students know how to critically think about the issues. Everything we do is hands-on, educational, and connected to agriculture. So we have a variety of resources, activities, and programs that are curriculum linked and that are under our pillars of ag literacy that we adopted. We offer in-person and virtual field trips and in-classroom presentations. We have learning kits, videos, resources for K-12. We have PD opportunities for educators, just like today, and also fun activities to extend learning. So those are a few of the things that we do. Just a reminder, if you could mute yourselves, that would be great, so there's no background noise on our recording. Bit of our scope. In 2022, we reached 29% of all Manitoba schools. So we are on the up and up, and from 2020, our school numbers have increased drastically. So that is very nice to see. But without further ado, you're here to learn about career case. So that is what we are going to jump right into. If you have your kit with you, that's great. If you don't have a kit, we will add in the link sometime, probably at the end of this presentation, for you to go and order your kit from our website. But if you have your kit with you, feel free to open it up and follow along. So we're going to start right from the beginning, the prep work. What do you need to do? We try our hardest to make sure that everything is as Monday ready as possible. We want you to have everything available to you, but there is a bit of prep work that you need to do with Career Case. First of all, you will need to go to thinkag.ca and download the presentation. So you'll go to the educators and parents, scroll down until you find Manitoba, and you will access instructor materials. From there, it will take you to our resource matrix. And on the side, you can see you can click the Career Case presentation PowerPoint. It will take you to log in. If you don't have an account, you'll have to create a new account. And then it'll just ask you again to click on whatever you want. So there's the presentation PowerPoint, the Career Case answer key PDF, and then the teacher guide. So there's also a teacher guide that comes in the kit, but that teacher guide is just an articulate online version with the same information. So the answer key, though, I would suggest that you download that and you print it off and have it with you. It's pretty handy to have. It's basically a cheat sheet. It gives you all the answers to all of the questions, and it gives you some guiding questions so you can kind of gear the students in the right direction if they're a little bit lost. So then the game steps in the presentation that it shows you, there's 6 different steps that it goes through, and I'm just going to kind of briefly take you through each of them and what you have to do for them. So the first step, discover the interest areas. So you don't have to do this part of the Career Case game. It's kind of an optional step, but it is also one of my favorite parts of the Career Case. It kind of gives the students the opportunity to really connect themselves with all of the careers that we talk about through the game. So there's a few different options for students to take this. Basically, it's an aptitude skill test. So they can do it online, which is about 5 minutes. They can fill out the questionnaire. So in the teacher guide on the very back page is the appendix. And you can just photocopy that and get students to fill it out manually. It's probably the fastest option, about 5 minutes as well. So that's also if you don't have any access to any technology. And then the third option, which is the newest option, is our Careero app. So it's a gamified version of the test. And basically the students get to play through a game and they make different decisions. And kind of based on those decisions, it will give them their Holland code at the end. So right now it's available on the App Store or Google Play, but we are working on the web version coming soon. So students will be able to just play it through any browser, which will be great. That is quite a long version. It does take about 20 minutes. Depending what you're really wanting to get out of Career Case, if you're a career counselor or you have a career class, you could stretch this into a whole class. You could definitely kind of get them to do the Careero app and take their time and look more into it, or you could kind of do the 5-minute version if you don't have a lot of time to spend on it. So after they take their test and get the results, basically you can give them their cards. You can just give them their card and move on. There's a bit of information on the back, as you can see on the screen. So yeah, that can kind of be all you do with the Holland code, or you can go into a little more detail if you want by going to thinkegg.ca. And I might just pull it up here. So if you go to students, basically, and you scroll down, there's the link to take their Holland code test so they can take it right online. And then when they get the results, it kind of gives them the opportunity to explore through all these different options. So they can go through build, it asks them some questions, and then there's all the different careers that are applicable to that Holland code. So say interested in carpentry. There's some quotes from some real people. We interviewed real people to get all of these information, the job in a nutshell. It shows them the salary range, what provinces the job could be in, job requirements, important skills, all sorts of stuff. So you could turn this into a whole class on its own, just talking about Holland codes, and get them to do some research and pick their top 5 jobs that they think, or whatever. So yeah, there's a kind of a whole area that you can go into just with the Holland codes themselves, but you could also skip it entirely if you don't have time, or do the 5 minutes. You guys will learn through this presentation that the Career Case game is going to be exactly what you make it to be. You could spend 1 hour on it, or you could spend like up to 5 classes. It's really whatever you guys want and have time for. Step 2 is the pregame survey. So there's a QR code for students. If students have access to devices and they can do the survey, great. If not, we ask that at the minimum, teachers at least do the pregame survey. The second part of step 2 is kind of the discussion. So the presentation that you'll download has like 5 or 6 slides, I think, on kind of what agriculture is as a whole. Once again, you can spend 5 minutes on this, or you can spend up to an hour going in depth of all the jobs that they're familiar with, getting them to do research. But yeah, there's just some questions in the PowerPoint that gets them thinking about what agriculture is and how it affects them in their everyday lives. Step 3 is create groups and prepare to play. So you're going to arrange students into groups. They suggest 4 to 6 students per group, but honestly, if you can, I like to go smaller numbers. I find 3 to 4 is about best, but you only have 5 decks of cards, so you have 5 groups max. If you can, I would also suggest putting kids in their friend groups. It really allows them to interact more, get more competitive, and get more into the game. I know a lot of the times we try not to pair kids with their friend groups. For this game specifically, it really encourages people to talk out more when they are in their friend groups. Their group is going to be called a community. So we let them come up with a community name if they would like. Generally, kids just pick an animal and they're the goats or the cows or something. And I usually give them till the end of the first example to come up with their team name. Then step 4 is rules of the game. The rules are fairly simple. Your community is going to be given a case. So you're going to put up a scenario on the board and the different groups have to identify which careers are best fit to solve the case. So at this point, you can hand out the game materials, which each group will get a deck of cards, a score sheet, and a card organizer. So you can just, hand one of these out to each group and get the students to spread out all the cards. There's quite a few in each deck. Get them to spread them out so they can see all of them. They can divide them up to different members if they want, but basically they just have to be able to see the job description. And then you can jump right into the game. There's a few other rules, but I like to explain it kind of as you go instead of just giving them a bunch of information right at the start. So then, you start right into the example, and it's fish switch. So I read it out. A local family farm known for raising cattle and growing wheat has decided to diversify and retrofit one of their buildings to house an indoor recirculating system for raising steelhead trout. This is a totally new undertaking for this family, and they have a lot to learn about the steelhead trout species and what is needed to create the best environment to grow a healthy product. So that big question that they're always going to be looking to answer is in that blue box. Who would be involved in helping this family design the building structure, equipment, and habitat for the fish that meets all code requirements? So at the bottom, it says 5 career cards required. So that means they're looking for 5 cards for this question. So they're going to fill up their whole organizer sheet. And then, at this point, you just kind of let them go. And in their groups, they read through all the cards. And their group, they have to pick 5 cards that would help solve this case. It kind of takes varying time depending on the class and reading level. It is very heavy with the reading. So if you have a younger grade, you might want to allow more time, but anywhere really 3 to 5 minutes is usually good for a scenario. And you just kind of wait for them to be done, and you can give them you have 1 minute left, etc., 30 seconds. Until everyone's done, and then you basically go to the answers. So you show the answers, they get excited, they get disappointed, and then you explain how the scoring works. So there's a few different ways that you can score points in the game. The first one is they get 2 points for every correct career card. So each correct answer that they got for that scenario is 2 points. The second way that they can add points is with their Holland code. So that's why it's important to hand out the Holland code cards to each of them. They get a point if one of the community members' Holland code matches one of the answers. So as you guys can see, all of the colors match from the Holland codes to the career cards. So that's why I really like the Holland code part of the game. I understand sometimes you don't have time for it because it does take more time. But it really allows them to see like, oh, I'm social, I'm a helper. And when any of those cards come up in the game, they kind of realize like, oh, that makes sense why I'm interested in that. Or so it just kind of is a more personal touch on the game itself. So having the matching Holland code allows them to get more points. And then the other way that they can get points is through bonus points. So each scenario has a suggested card for bonus points. I generally take all of those out. I personally believe if there's a card that they think is helpful and beneficial, I'm going to give them points regardless of what the card is. So basically with the bonus points, if any of those 5 cards that they picked were wrong, I give them the opportunity to defend those cards and explain to me why I think that card is important. So they suggest giving 2 points. I generally like to vary the points. I kind of give 1 to 3 points based on the answer. Especially if you have a really competitive group, it's fun to do that because it makes them like push themselves and try to give like really good answers. And yeah, so I just throw it out if anyone has any cards that they want to defend. I usually just let them put up their hand and first come, first serve. I only let 1 card be defended. So another group can't defend the same card. But I'll let every group have a chance before I let a group defend an additional card, as long as it hasn't already been defended, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is the fun part of the game. It gets students to speak up, be confident, and really give their opinion as to why they think that card is important. And then there is the score sheet, so you can just kind of explain how to keep track of all the points. So you can write down the case, the title, so 2 points for each correct card, so up to 10 points if there's 5 cards, 1 point per matching community member, and then the bonus points that the teacher awards to get their total points. I usually try to give away some sort of a prize. It can be as small as candy. Kids generally don't care, but if they get to compete for something, it usually helps pull out the competitive side and really gets to be an interesting game that way. And then basically after you've gone through the example, I ask all of the teams to give me their team name. I write them up on the board. And then as we go through the game, after each round, I write down all the points and I kind of keep the points on the whiteboard in front of the whole class. And yeah, that's a lot. I understand. We just went through a lot of different things and rules. One more thing that you guys will have to do ahead of time is you're probably going to want to sort through the scenarios. In a 1 hour class, you're going to get through 3 to 5 scenarios. And depending on how much time you spend on the Holland codes and how much time you spend on the intro to agriculture in general will depend how much time you actually have for scenarios. So if you are in a specific food and nutrition class, you might want to go through and pick the scenarios that are more geared towards those cards. So new developments, for example, has a dietitian, has a food scientist. If you're a biology teacher or environmental sciences, precision agriculture has some good options for you. So yeah, I would just go through and kind of pick the few scenarios that you specifically want to go through. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just run through the scenarios and get through as many as you get through. But I think there's like 8 or 10 of them in the presentation. So yeah, if you have the time to go through and select them, that is probably beneficial. And then step 6 is the discussion. So we figure out who has the most points. I make everyone do mental math and add up all their points. And at the end, we discuss why the team won that did win. And generally, it's because they have a wide variety of Holland codes. So the discussion kind of comes in as to diversity of people and having diversity in the workplace and in groups and education, and how having different backgrounds and points of view really helps you make those overall decisions as best as possible. You will notice that if you have one group with all one Holland code, they're going to tend to gravitate towards all of the green careers. So yeah, it's just kind of an interesting discussion to talk about afterwards, because they always figure it out. So it's cool to see. And then there's the post-game survey that students and teachers can both do. And that is basically it. I know we went through that super fast, but I am trying to respect your time. I understand you are all busy. So if there are any questions, I will remind you to put them in the chat. Before we get to questions, I am going to hand it over to Lynn Nicole. She is a teacher from Brandon. She's at Crocus Plains, and she has done the career case with her students, and she is going to give her opinion and share her point of view as a teacher. So I'll hand it over to you, Lynn.
Well, thanks for asking me to share my experience. I am, full disclosure, a recovering farmer, so anything ag in the classroom draws me in, and just always benefits so much. And I'm so grateful for this game. I stepped into teaching career development for the first time in September, and I taught grade 10. So there's lots of curricular learning for new teachers into a new role, as you well know. And then in the semester system, second semester, I currently teach grade 11 and grade 12. So for me, I found this tool just so user-friendly and a way to support what I was trying to explore in the classroom. My goal with the career case was to offer agricultural literacy, but also to encourage students to consider ag as a career. And I have to tell you, the first time I played the game, I was blown away, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about the opportunities there was for those folks that like to be, I mean, I milk cows, right? I raise sheep, I was a beef farmer. So that's where my vision went. But so to see the opportunities just bloom and blossom. And my first group of grade 10s, there was about 15 students in the classroom. And I thought it was going to be a hard sell. I thought, oh, these are city focused kids, and a lot of them know already where they want to go and whatever. But the game, and I did a little differently because I had some class management issues. So I selected the communities. And the upswing of that was I was able to see students that, you know, didn't always present their ability to think critically and bring their thoughts and thinking and understanding to the forefront really blossom the way that I had done it. So the opportunity for the communication and the different Holland code, the way people think and see the world, to express that in their groups was phenomenal. I'm not a competitive person, so playing for marks, yeah, okay, that worked really well in the first group. That did float their boat. The second time I did it was with a much smaller group of students, and grade 11, 12, and there were some students that were adapted in that scenario. And so the way I did it the second time was more to just learn. Just look at this and what are the opportunities for learning and expressing and exploring, you know, who am I and where could I fit in to this world of agriculture, and the data, the need for folks stepping into the world of work in an agricultural context. It's just so powerful. In our division, we have a program called Zello. And so the students in both groups had the opportunity to explore their thinking, learning styles and who they are as people. But to be able to authentically apply that in this process, in the career case, was just so powerful. And for me, this isn't a one and done program. I'm coming back. My students are currently out on work placements. We're coming back, and within that first week, we're going to explore again what their Holland styles are, and how did that express itself in the work placement they were in, and how will that express when they go out again in May. And we're going to play the game again, and you know, see what do we see differently. Well, how do we see it the same? So I really, really appreciated having this tool, this resource ready to use, easy to use, a little bit overwhelming to begin with till you get your fingers in there. And the what is it? The Careero app. Wow, that is a little. It was excellent. I really loved playing it, but my brain works slower than the student. So I was always behind, trying to do that. So loved it. Thank you so much to Ag in the Classroom for putting these together. And this is a resource I will use over and over and over again. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lynn. Yeah, I can vouch that students really do get engaged and enjoy this game. And it's nice to see some students that don't necessarily participate, really see them come out of their shells. So once again, I will open it up if there are any questions. Where are the scenario cards located? All of the scenarios are in the PowerPoint that you would download from the thinkag.ca website. The career cards come in the kit. Yeah, if there are any more questions, I am happy to stick around and answer them. Yes, the recording will be sent via email, and it will also be posted on our website under the career case page. So it will be accessible for you to see. I know there was quite a few people who weren't able to make it live, but that's just how it happens with all the different class times. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope this helped. I hope it made this daunting game a little less daunting. Please reach out if you ever have any questions. I'm Adele at aitc.mb.ca. I thank you, Amber. I'm so glad that you feel confident leading this now. And yeah, we will stop the recording, I guess, and I'll stick around for a few minutes if there are any more questions, but if not, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.